Hey, church family. Brian Sullivan here with a reflection for your Maundy Thursday. I know that Easter Sunday is clearly our most important holiday, right? We think of and remember that Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Yet, the older I get, the more I realize that leading up to that moment is what makes that moment so special. And Maundy Thursday has become a really important day for me in my own walk with Christ. And as I relate to and think about Christ dining in this intimate space, breaking bread with his closest companions and compatriots and the leaders of his cause, sharing with them this incredible statement of communion, that his body would be the thing that would save us, that would fuel us, that would unite us together. I think about Judas sitting at that table. And I think about what Judas did. The betrayer, the evil man who turned his friend over to the Sanhedrin for 30 pieces of silver. You know, as a kid growing up, we always think of Judas as this irredeemable figure. Just nothing redeemable about him, except when we look and see how Christ treated Judas. He called him friend. And I was sitting with a friend a few years back who presented a really interesting interpretation of Judas as a zealot, right? And I'm not a historian, I'm not a theologian, but a little bit about the zealots, that they expected the Messiah to be this conquering hero, this king who would come to reign, breaking chains, but in a very dramatic way, which, as we know, if we know Christ, that wasn't Christ's style, still isn't. Achieving the same ends, but through very different means. And so what if the question of Judas was one of him forcing Christ's hand, acting with the best intents in mind, knowing that this is the Son of God who can do anything, so surely he can save himself, surely force this revolution to a head. And I think now, how do we reflect and how do we relate to this character? Well, how many things have we done in our own lives claiming that we are acting in the name of Christ? Or how many things have been done throughout history for the kingdom in name, but the effects of which don't seem very Christ-like? It's easy to talk about the Crusades, but I think there are things closer to home still, that we say we're acting with Christ's intent in mind, with the kingdom's intent in mind, but to not that end. Yet even this betrayer, this one who acted so rashly and couldn't hold in their own experience, who couldn't hold in their own expectations, Christ called him friend. And the actions, these terrible actions, we wouldn't have the cross, we wouldn't have the resurrection potentially without this rashness. Again, not excusing those actions, but to reflect and think, surely not I, Lord. Surely what I've done today I did with the best intents in mind, as Judas thought he was doing, as we so often think we do, feeling justified in our cause. Yet as little as the 12 understood Christ and fought to understand him, and he tried to explain, I think we still, even with 2,000 years, fight to understand this strange Savior and what he accomplished and how he accomplished it. So reading over the scriptures about Judas, which I encourage you to go and do and think about and reflect on, I wrote this song. The verses are from the perspective of Judas in his actions. And the chorus, I think, takes it a little broader. The bridge is a little bit of a speculative theology, perhaps not terribly orthodox, but a question I have in my heart, and I think that's what music should be about sometimes, is to ask these questions. So for your reflection today, surely not I. I did the right thing, or so I told myself, tired of waiting on the shelf for him to move. What sort of king is this? So meek and so resigned, with others wasting time, breaking vessels, empty gestures, empty words. I I know he is the one. He is God's own chosen son. Yet this was not how it was supposed to be. I'll take it in my own hands. Silver for the cause. Unleash the wrath of God. He has healed so many, he can surely save himself. Surely not I, we say. Surely what we've done today, we did it with the best intent in mind. The longing in our hearts to see you high and set apart. Forgive us, for we know not what we do. Surely not I. There in that moment, sharing his bread, couldn't get into my head. All that was broken when he handed me my share. Go quickly, he said. So I ran into the night, turned my back to the light, never hearing that our grief would turn to joy. I was the first, though my brothers left him too. After all that we'd been through, we couldn't keep our eyes from growing dim. There by the garden wall, I heard him softly call, knowing tears and blood would fall when I kissed his cheek. Friend, do what you came to do. Surely not I, we say. Surely what we've done today, we did it with the best intent in mind. The longing in our hearts to see you high and set apart. Forgive us, for we know not what we do. Surely not I. I saw him on that darkest Friday night, descending to the lake of fire beyond God's holy light. I heard the cries of victory as the Lamb was laid to rest, knowing that it was my hand that pushed him to this test. When he came beside me, was there redemption in his eyes? Did the veil tear for me as well? Though I'd served the Prince of Lies, he called me friend. He called me friend. He called me friend. Surely not I, we say. Surely what we've done today, we did it with the best intent in mind. The longing in our hearts to see you high and set apart. Forgive us, for we know not what we do. Surely not I, we say. Surely what we've done today, we did it with the best intent in mind. The longing in our hearts to see you high and set apart. Forgive us, for we know not what we do.